colonists. To know the true Ali, started dropping it.
Dirty Moors still attempt to infiltrate the order. Active Moors are truth and take it to the corners. Across highways, past hedges and through borders. Move on dirty Moors like broken down waters. Watch out for agents and provocateurs trying to get next to the heads with the doctor cures. They never pay dues and don't pay dues, contradicting with King Alfred to give clues like news. Noble Drew Ali died some pale more blues. Prophet saved him his money before the floor fell through, and that's true. Even though I don't have proof, selling memory tells me don't fall for spooks. Drop mental nukes, hanging from their own vine from the fig tree, looking up at them like Big B. No white flag or mercy for you fags. 5-point and pentagram is on our flag. Green, but not for cream. That dirty Moors took to throw off the balance of the Grand Treasury books. Getting offers like high school ballers. Those that infiltrate are not Moors but robbers. Robbing the people blind, deaf, dumb, and crippled. They can't tear this up, not one drop or trickle. No matter how hard they try to perpetrate the fraud, dirty Moors always fall on their sword.
The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know the true Ali, started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know the true Ali, started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know the true Ali, started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know the true Ali, started dropping it.
Me nah play with on so simmer and easy. From 19 how long, me see it's sleazy. So sick, it's measly and disgusting. Everyone stood there. The Moors did nothing when Drew was attacked. They took the covenant that they will protect him and have his back. Behind on dues by 4 months. Going to kangaroo courts to perform stunts. Temples versus temples. Lawsuits from inner fights. Not doing their job, 3,500 for birthright. Mufti Force left supposed to be in Gucci stores with God. I thank Allah for the Sufi Moors and Buddhist Nagas. Moorish mic renaissance, not rap sagas. Confusion clearer, MC battle star wearer. Moorish nationality declarer. Straighten out the crooked ways, rap conduct squarer.
The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know the true Ali, started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know the true Ali, started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know the true Ali, started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know the true Ali, started dropping it.
Let me strip them down, I'm the bone bearer. Negro, black, colored, minority, death preparer. Not the being, but the label attached. See me like Martin, going crazy, waving gats. Cause you call yourself black, that's a kick me sign on your life. Can't stab your enemy holding the blade of the knife. Numbskull MCs flow so dull that I'm pulling down Orishas like skull caps to torture the rapper, scissor sippers. Rapper, CD scratcher, insert ripper. Call me Jack and get slapped though. Admiral when I flow, major like macro. Don't spit on a cameraman like Pac will, but beat the case like Black Bill, but no lawyer. Ask Jim Carrey, liars do nothing for you while they get rich and pour you. Make you follow magistrate orders that get the coke to snort from hood corners and blocks ghetto. All I see is rappers, dress codes, repedo, tight shirts, skinny jeans looking like heavy metal bands. I'm not babe but L like bread and hands. I grab mics, no sweat in hands. With birthright brands, I don't worry about getting scanned.
The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know the true Ali, started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know the true Ali, started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know the true Ali, started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know the true Ali, started dropping it.
What up?
The way you see an idea in your mind and shape it into something.
Here we go. Raka! North Star! That way. And what starts that way? Canaanland moors. Read off we pay every day. Uplift the V cause we all base. We enforce the law and we obey. Forefathers from before and still today. Reading my Quran and my Torah. Universal laws in more ways. Read 4 chapters, receive it 4 ways. Great divine love rules our verse. Before I circle blocks, man, I circle 7s first. You bust the image, but your rhymes hurt. Declare 13 disrespected earth. Love, but it's all in God's plan. Today's mathematics don't judge a man. Unity of life, embodiment of truth. I'm responsible for every deed, cause I seen the proof. No, but Drew X, Do I have to draw it out for you? Cause nationality is not a color I can use. Jerry Spruce, standing on my square, even without shoes. On the high authority, spirit of blue. Marcus Garvey, whirlwind ×2. The world's in the wind when the trumpet blew.
Stand up, go into your bathroom. If you got a big floor to ceiling, cut the light on and stand and take a good hard look at yourself. You are the Moorish government, you know, and it took me a long time to get to understand that concept. I self-law am master. If I can govern myself, if I can govern my household, that's what I should be doing. Why should I walk out of my door and then leave everything that I know about myself in the house to go out and adopt something that I have no knowledge thereof? It makes no sense. So we need to stop asking that question. I ask myself this question: if not me, then who?
Death and wisdom, my friends, intelligent creatures, guardians of sacred knowledge, Olmecan features, secrets of the afterlife, manifest the present day. Dirty Moors and scoundrels lose their heads in a pleasant way. Deceit and deception, negative past thoughts, keeps awareness on point, spirit messages never off, inner realizations, encounter the higher selves, next plane existence, explains my consistence. Without a foe you never know, so past most resistant. Divinity, my twin flame, side chick and mistress, metaphysic, Kabbalistic, Almaroc mystic, patriarch, papistics, make my thoughts sadistic, so indigenous, call me Americanistic, invoking the ancestors, Cyrus and cryptic, suns on rotation, flows ecliptic, shatter all illusions, reveal the realistic, sitting in the dark, holding the light marvelous, recognize the artifice, skin so carbonous, hair so antenna, I feel them from Vienna, myriad of virtues, lessons, and reptilian henna, enlightenment seekers won't find it in mainstream, focus as a laser, stay balanced like a beam, not even a gymnast, whenever I flip this, as above so below, get out when within this, don't think I'm a slave cause I speak in English, Drew Ali the water, watch your flames get extinguished, living in your higher lower self is relinquished, reputation of master teachers, call it distinguished.
So I just want to get you in. What? What? I'm rockets. Who says we ain't in the building? Who says we ain't into building? We the Moorish master masons, architects for your children, repping Friday 13th like Jason without the killing. But we promote life, oh, it's all about the feeling. And we invoke light, yo, we them light beings. Though you might see him on the block getting this caution, might be talking to cops, giving them caution. Occasionally wearing his fez when he's walking, see the turning heads, whispering, gawking. But he's locked in, and he's zoned out, while we boxed in our own house.
We study the mystics, the adepts, the magi, wisdom of the ancients can uncalcify us. Possible mission, free mental numbness, extract the substance, rid minds of dumbness. Use the source, don't care what some purport, as we know by being told man knows not. Many before the floor, souls got bought, placed in the devil's hands, ruling the seven lands. To dogma rituals, Negro spirituals, brainwash subliminal, keeps thinking to a minimal. They still criminal, in a world digital so pitiful. Mental survival so critical, it's visible. Can you see past righteous blocks? Hashtag zombies with waves of cyber thumbs. No need for cell phones, they speak through saw palms. It's nothing for alarm, trips and forearms.
Wind, brass, and bass, such a beautiful serenade. Women feeding me grapes, I'm feeding the inwards serenades. Whether the sky is clear or gray, rain when you hear a fake, giving life to seed. Speaking through who not here today. Show you the future in a glimpse. You can always look to these holes like hallucinatory pimps. Sun walked the desert, been more ever since I found God. Look back, used to see his prince. Forget being a prince, I'm a G. OD, grown man, no jokey, deny it, you don't know me. Don't make me tap into the old me. That's like a couple hundred years. Walk around town with a couple hundred peers and release the peace of fears. The sun gon' shine, so what tears? This young brother here just trying to get his third eye clear.
This deep. Moors don't sleep, invest in your mind and body and unleash real life rap, spitting over tracks, conscious thinking and living and then attack. This deep. Moors don't sleep, invest in your mind and body and unleash real life rap, spitting over tracks, conscious thinking and living and then attack.
So as the moon sets, the sun takes its place and spoons on blocks, inspired spots, filled spaces, peel back, rats, who got cases, fire stain the corridors of flemo faces, game changers, rule benders and no pretenders, style benders, channel my vibe through the vibrant optic lenses, send a message to our veterans, soldiers up and get it in, we on our verge, we are merged subliminal beings, third eye seeing, still I participate unwilling.
They wanna break me, shake, bake, grave me, rolling with my name G, double OMG, SON is crazy, for a minute that you think you could take me for a fool like a native to his land, being schooled by a foreign dude, you mistaken me, spiders on the roof, in the dark rooms, have you saying you mistaken me, you better move or I mark it, power pin is my tongue, your resistance to target, revealing all lies and deceit on the market, genocide, carry out in pockets, I knock it down, bulldozer, David to Goliath, it's an exposure, some big cats ruling and it's getting closer to your downfall, round up all your soldiers.
Little homie, I was seeking a fortune, tired of misfortune. I just wanted a portion, everything that I never had, though I needed my portion. Blowing like porcelain, haters cracking as porcelain. Getting broke, tired of being broke. How we acquire hope is a DJ skill as a dope, just to keep us afloat. Mind as deep as the boat, brain is a lethal weapon. We want need to elope. When I speak, I provoke. Walk in the room with my aura feeling like heavy smoke. Feel like when the levee broke under my Louis 50 to semi-poke. Cause then we capture, kill the boy, yeah, and a joke. The cost of living, higher profits in private prison. These little girls are selling bodies just to pay tuition. These little niggas selling niggas just to build condition. It's like the slavery never ended with the intermission. I wanna free the world, but I'm one man. A couple ones like me and me one plan. I wanna free the world, but I'm one man. A couple ones like me and one plan.
If that doesn't get you going, that doesn't get you going, nothing will. You're a corpse. Honors to all the Moors worldwide. We're here once again. Honors to Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Sons of Allah. Every third Thursday. Most times, every third Thursday. But you know, life happens. So sometimes we might be off a bit. Miz.
Peace, more peace.
What's good? What's good?
Yo, all is well. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. It's definitely good to be back. Out of the chat. Salute to brother Set and Ryan in the chat, for real. And everybody else. It's good to see Set in the building, for sure. Oh, man, that's great. So, yeah, peace to all Moors in this session, man. Yeah, and as usual, you already know the music has to be fire every time. You already know.
Every time. Yeah. And I was thinking the other day too. From blog Talk and all those would have been like the first podcast. Huh?
Yo, you know, it's that, I mean, in a sense, maybe so, maybe audio. Because it's funny, I ran into a sister that I know from years ago, and that's the first thing she said. She was like, "What's up? You still got your podcast?" And right, like, because she remember, you know what I'm saying? She was tapping in, you know. Yeah. But yeah, you know, that's how some people see it, bro. You know what I mean? I mean, it was a part of that era, you know. That was the digital outlet at that time, in a sense, you know. Mm-hmm. And so one of the earlier forms of media at this point, if you will. So yeah, kind of, if you will, it was like that, like an audio one. But YouTube, when everything was already going, but a lot of the celebrities at that time, they wasn't really on it like that. You know what I mean? Not like that. They would drop like music videos and stuff. Then when the pandemic happened, all of them on YouTube now, you see? Yeah. So it's like, it's a different era of time. And we got to remember that too, you know? And Yeah, but those are still timeless, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some good
Yep.
archives.
That's a fact. That's a major fact. Man. And we had a lot of sessions on there, a lot of good ones.
Good ones.
Yeah. Definitely got to get those out, you know?
For real.
Yup.
There's just so much though. You know what I mean? Like, you know,
Yup.
we were talking the other day about at the temple we were talking about the junk drive.
Okay.
The 28 terabyte with all the info on it, and there's just so much info.
Yeah. No doubt.
It's and with there being so much info and all of it being, you know, relative to the topic at hand of, you know, who we are and what we're supposed to be about. You still have the try and weak minds going on. I was just thinking about the Moorish International Legal Forum BS.
Oh, with that the thing you sent me earlier,
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's crazy. It's wild. You know what I'm saying? I don't really keep up with them like that, you know.
No, I don't either. Somebody just sent it to me like, yo, are you gonna be on the forum?
Right. Yeah.
Like, what forum? You know what I mean? What do you know? What forum you talking about? Yeah,
Yeah.
they're doing this legal thing. It's with Moors, and then it turns out being these traders.
Right. Yeah. Nah, yeah, that's why I don't keep up with them, bro, because they was doing something and they claimed to be well, first they was rocking claiming to be Moors, and then they ran with the Buffalo Indian. They started claiming to be Buffalo Indians, fam. Some of the people that was on the panel of what you're speaking about. And so I'm like, damn, they claim Buffalo Indians. Like, that's wild work. You know what I mean? From Moorish American to Buffalo Indian is wild, bro.
Yeah.
You know? So when I seen that, I'm like, and then they was like, well, we only doing name changes for the state of wherever. You fill in the blank. That sounds crazy. Like, wow. So, you know what I mean? I don't know what they on, but I don't, you know, it's like, I don't think it's de jour, bro. You know,
Yeah.
because the reality is this, man. And again, I don't hate no Moors. I ain't with that. I'm just saying if we was to be honest about it, right? The definition of consular court means that you're in somebody else's land, you know, but still have some of your own rules. But we not in anybody else's
Someone
land.
else's land.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, we home here. So politically, just on a political correctness, I know some people don't care about it, but I'm just saying if we're going to be right and exact, we have to consider that it doesn't add up. You know what I mean? So whatever they doing, I don't know what that'll come out to be, but yeah, it's wild. And I know it's crazy, bro. I've been on the move getting things done and all of this, but I know my mother just dropped an article about them, about that situation, because some people had us mixed up like we was them, you know what I mean, or they was us. And, you know, we never was rocking with that or those specific people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so it had to be cleared up, because we never was like, all right, we're gonna do this consulate thing. And it's no, again, I don't hate my brothers and sisters that have. I'm just saying the
That's
concept.
just not. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, that's not really, you know, that's not really where it's at. And so, you know, just knowing that, and then seeing how some people flip flop to from that to now Buffalo Indian, like literally, and then like, yeah, we only doing, you know, name changes for the state of whoever. Like, nah, bro, they could keep all of that. You know what I mean? Not for nothing.
It was like we were talking about the other day with the Moorish Science Temple of America that's claiming the authority. They're now promoting that they're in Canada, and we're saying that has to be in your mind. If at this time, 2026,
right,
Moors aren't saying Canaanland, when they refer to Canada, they're probably some type of agent thing going on.
Yeah. And you're absolutely correct in this regard. But I gotta ask you, yo, what's up with that? Because I know it's something that just happened, and I haven't really looked into it, so I'm not gonna act like I know it all. But it was something going on about the corporation Canada opening up citizenship to right across the border and whatnot, so-called border anyway. Did you hear about that? I'm sure y'all probably heard about that.
I mean, not anything other than what they've been doing with the immigrants, letting them come over here.
Okay, all right.
But as far as movement back and forth, quote unquote Canada to U.S. No, I didn't hear anything about opening up anything. What I do know is that for the immigrants, it's open.
Right.
Because they already know that the dead status people, they don't count. So they need bodies to fill in, and all the immigrants are getting their 70 grand a year to come over here and, play Canadian. While the people who are actually from here are suffering or whatever.
Yeah, that's
so
how.
As far as the door being open, that arrangement of immigrants being able to come here,
right,
to the corporate jurisdiction and have that corporate title now, and be able to exercise as under the same thing that they call civil rights, as far as out here, but then the black guys, they can't do that. They're having issues. But everybody else who's an immigrant is able to be a citizen and have the health care, and our people are, in the worst conditions, which it doesn't even make sense.
Facts.
But if you look at it from the aspect of it, everybody has a nationality around you. Right. And it seems to be only a certain people who don't want to have one. And then they're debating the people with nationalities about, what I mean? It is what it is.
Right. Damn. That's crazy work, bro.
But that's the only open, like, for example, my mom was telling me yesterday or day before or something. She went to Walmart and she's wondering how come there's no black guys with jobs. She sees little black guys walking up and down every day, can't find any job or whatever. Mm-hmm. But she goes to the Walmart that's in the area where the black guys are, and there's only Indians working there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she calls out the manager. The manager's a Nigerian or something. And he's telling her, not so loud, don't talk so loud.
Yeah.
This is at a Walmart.
Yeah.
The foreigners are in there.
That is a fact. That's a major fact. Where I'm at, I know they are brothers and sisters still, but a lot of them don't speak English at all. Like, you got to show them what you're looking for on your phone, and then they're looking up in Spanish on their mobile thing. Like, it's like that. Like, it's really like that. You know what I mean? And it's all, I'm not hating on it, but it's just like, damn, that is kind of ill. I mean, it's, they got to have a couple just to say that they don't hire all of them. But
but it's past that now.
Yeah.
Right? Like that was that thing that you're talking about. Oh yeah, well, there should be a couple of that. That was probably like 10, 15 years ago.
Right.
Where it was like that, where the equity, and you got to make sure you have a black guy in there so it doesn't look like you're oh well, now we got to make sure that there's an Asian in there, and then you start seeing Asians in the commercials and all this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they ran a good game.
Yeah.
And again, it's because of our people not having the nationality mindset, because we keep arguing about how come when the islanders came to the mainland in the 60s, 70s, when houses were 20 grand, how come they didn't buy 7 of them?
Right.
and hold them in the family. So by now, all those 7 properties are you know what I mean? Those are 8 million right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So we don't have a national mindset as a people.
Yeah, and it's sad to say it's even some families where it's direct family feuds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same family fighting for the same.
Yeah, let them find out that 7 properties was left, like you saying, and watch somebody get greedy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's a problem too. It's not always, external things, but people will tell you. You know what I'm saying? People be like that. So it's sad. That's a sad but true reality too. You know what I mean? Like, and then it go through hands that don't care if it get to you anyway. So they, you know what I mean? They wasn't thinking about you. Like that's some people's situation. You know what I mean? That's crazy though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the representation, so
Mm-hmm.
now all of them have somebody that's running for whatever out here. Right? So the Hindus have their guy, the Asians have their guy, right? The Europeans have their whether Greek, Italian, whatever they got their one that they're voting for. And we're left going to vote without nobody to vote for.
Mm-hmm.
Setting ourselves up.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's when you look at, what was our older culture. You know what I mean? Like the Iroquois is a perfect example, bro.
Mm-hmm.
There was a whole voting system, even though it was matrilineal. Like at that time, men didn't have the right to vote in the matriarchy society. That is a fact. That is an absolute fact. Like they could count up the ballots and everything, but like let's say it was an election for a chief or a sheik or a grand sheik or whatnot, only the women would be able to elect.
Mm-hmm.
That is a absolute fact. That's how it went amongst the Iroquois. So again, I think that what you're talking about, even with going to vote but being left with no one to vote for, maybe it's something we got to look at internally. And again, we know there's infighting and all of that has happened, but we still have a culture that there's examples, you know what I mean, to look at and say, okay, we could operate like that, there's even examples of peace when it was infighting, right? When we look at the culture, like how they were operating,
Mm-hmm.
the League of Nations, the Iroquois Confederacy was the League of Nations before the League of Nations, but they also had a league to enforce peace, which is one of the 5 principles. Like maybe it's something to that because the infighting was already going on before the European got here. So, like you got to consider like it's a lot to look back at and say, okay, we can draw from that, in those regards. I was thinking about that when you mentioned the voting. I'm not saying, which way is right or wrong. I'm just saying that's how it was. It was a system, there to do these things. But yeah, some people are just in it, bro. Some people are just in it, and it is what it is. I get it. We was talking about being part and parcel of the said government is because all of their philosophy comes directly from us. Like that is a fact. Like how everything they did as far as here in the Western Hemisphere, as far as what they call government and whatnot, especially the Constitution, came directly from the Aboriginal indigenous people, and they know that. They tell you, So yeah, it's something to it, more. It's definitely something to it. But I know we was going to get into that article because there is some examples from that too, about the different mentalities and the states of mind. You know what I mean? But
Which what the South one?
yeah, because I know
Yeah.
you mentioned it was like, yo, that one was crazy. But I do want to say though, we went over this on my mother's class. She does do a civics class every Wednesday where she be going in on mad different stuff, but you know, we try to share as much as possible. And you know, if y'all don't know, y'all tap into that every Wednesday on the go-to platform. But yeah, so she did go over it, but this is still, you know, reviewable. You know what I mean? Like it's very interesting, you know, as far as the state of minds that even though we were the same people, right? Like everybody wasn't thinking like that. Everybody wasn't thinking free, right? So yeah, more yeah, but
Let me just find this thing,
yeah. So there's that. But yeah, I think all of it is kind of interesting because it's telling, bro. It's telling, and I say this, it's the date, bro. It's the date, you know, 1853. This is before the Emancipation Proclamation, all of that, right? Like this is before that. So let me see. See, you do have it up, but I can't really. I need my glasses. I need my specs.
I'm about to make it bigger. One sec.
Oh, all right, bet. Yeah, cool. Yeah, you know, because again, you know, it's interesting, especially with the concept of the Southern Poverty Law Center, you know, being exposed for who they are, you know, funding the Klan members and all that. That's them. You know what I mean? But it was something going on with the South. Noble Drew Ali said it. You know what I mean? He said, I traveled to the South and examined conditions there. And he said it was the works of his people. Right. And I'm not sitting here trying to cast blame. I'm just saying these are real things that was documented and said, you know. So, yeah, I think this is interesting in that regard. More anything you want to say before we get into it?
Yo, just that, you know, again, going back earlier to, you know, with learning from people or having teachers or whatever. Noble Drew Ali has to be in the conversation. Yeah. If they're having their conference or if they're having their you know, whatever that they're doing. His message of bringing us into this different thinking and looking at things completely different. So, you know, like with him, with the thing of him traveling in the South.
Yeah.
You know, these are the, you know, how do he make it back if it's like that?
Right.
You know what I mean? If anytime they see somebody that looks like us, you're a slave, then so something else is going on that our people really weren't looking at. You know, they were distracted from looking at things a certain way. You know, but the thing with the distinctions and making sure that you know that they've created this thing that people can assume. So don't let them assume on you. Make sure you're right and exact, so they know you're right and exact. Because if they assume, this thing could go anywhere. It could go in any direction that you don't want it to go in. Right. Yeah, we'll start with this. So this is 1853 New York Times. The South. Letters on the productions, industry, and resources of the slave states, number 9. Special correspondence of the New York Daily Times. Condition of free blacks at the South, free blacks at the North, evils of enfranchisement, aversion of colonization, dependence of Negroes on the whites, general sentiment on slavery in Virginia. To the editor of the New York Daily Times.
Peace, more. And I just want to add right there in the subtitles, it means so much, bro.
Yeah,
Again, especially when you consider the date. right? 1853. Now I know Negro, Black, and Colored are brands, but from the context of what this person is reporting, they're acknowledging that is so-called free blacks of the South and free blacks of the North. Now, this is before the Emancipation Proclamation, though. So if there was already so-called free blacks before the Emancipation Proclamation, then you have to know if they say the 14th Amendment was for newly freed slaves, you have to ask yourself, well, who was that? If there was already so-called free blacks, which we know are free Moors, right? That's a fact, right? Before the Emancipation Proclamation, provable fact. So then what was the 14th Amendment really about? Because everybody didn't need to be free. Like everybody who got freed, if you will, salute to that, right? But I'm still looking like, well, everybody wasn't a slave in the first place. So who was it really for? It wasn't for all melanated people. That's not what that was, because they were already free. Post-Constitution. So I think about things like that more, and it's like, man, this is so telling, you know, if you look at the details about it. Like it's telling a lot, you know. And again, I know Negro, Black, Colored are brand names, but even just looking at what they're saying for what it is, it's like, wow, you know, that says a lot, man. So for sure, yeah. Right off the bat, though.
Off the top.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it too, that, you know, when we talk about Moors and they say free blacks, and then they say of the North, just remember, it's not just the South only. You know, I know that the frame of mind used to be up here is igloos, and you know it snows all year round, and you know blizzards and all that. There were still our people here, even if the weather was that bad. There were still our people in the north, and going further north. And these people were free, have no connection to slavery, no connection to slave trades, no connection to reservations and ghettos and none of that. Free people. And the free blacks at the North and at the South. They were 1800s. Everybody's gonna all of them gonna tell you in now. In the US, in Canada, in whatever, they knew. Because by being free, by not being freed and being free, that's two different classifications of freeness.
Absolutely.
And the free ones are the ones that the FBA and these people are trying to cosplay as if that's them. Because remember, they don't want to say that they're Moors. They're going to say everything except.
Right.
Right.
Well, when you look at it, back in the day, he was claiming to be a Moor. He did the whole documentary and all that. So, you know, again, another example of like people like running with the movement and just doing something totally not Moorish with it. You know what I mean? Like it's not nowhere near it these days. But yeah, that's a fact. So that's why I think, bro, all of it is a op, bro. Like a lot of selling out went on, bro. I really believe that now. Well, I knew it, but now we know, like we got the proof. But it makes me think about how many other agendas was in play like that. You know what I mean? Why is it that so many people jack the Moorish movement, dissing Noble Drew Ali, don't really know Noble Drew Ali's works like that as far as his appeal to the general population, the general public, you know what I mean? Like the divine warning and things of this nature. You know, and so they they don't ever teach from that perspective and try to make it like Moors are crazy. You know what I mean? Like that's wild work, bro. And I think that all of it was an agenda since about like 2015, 16ish, but probably been one. But looking at what the Southern Poverty Law Center was into, I don't think they was the only ones, bro. I really don't. I don't think they was the only ones, you know, because they had, when that happened, they had big businesses stop funding them, you know what I mean? And all of that. They no longer endorse them. They don't want nothing to do with them. Like, you know what I mean? So I think it was probably a lot of people who had the same interests as them. You gotta remember, Moors was we're claiming that, you know, we're the lineal descendants and Aboriginal indigenous people of North, South, and Central America because it's true. You know what I mean? Like that is, we're not Negro, black, and color. And so, but that's a heavy claim, bro. That ain't nothing to sneeze at. I'm not saying it's not true, but you gotta think, you know, people who do like you know, real estate and, you know, all of this here, they're a direct threat. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not saying that that's right, but they built their whole thing off of illusions. They sell a land that's not even theirs. You know what I mean? So you know what I mean? I think other corporations had an interest, like make these people seem crazy. You know what I mean? Do whatever you got to do to spin it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, you know, and that's why I think even to some of the people you was mentioning, like, I know you've seen the writs where like it seems as if they're making, like they can't spell or they're making a mockery of the language intentionally. You know what I mean? It's like that type of stuff makes us look bad. Like we can't spell. Whatever your intentions are, that makes us look like we can't spell. Or make you look like you can't spell.
Yeah, more looks like them.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, but if you're supposed to be some representation, you know what I mean? That's what it looked like. Like this is your leader, right? That can't spell. Like that's and I think those types of looks are intentional, bro. Like, you know what I mean? I think it was a agenda to do that. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, well, you and you can see it in the way that how it comes out of people that don't know any better.
Right.
You'll see them spell something and you know that they got that from them. You'll hear them say a certain way and okay, I know who you've been with.
Right.
I know who's been in your mind filling it with BS. You know.
Facts. Yeah. So but to go from that to Unami Buffalo Indian is crazy, bro. You know what I mean? Like that's and you know, like regardless of the infighting, like can't take away, we're Moors. Like it is what it is. It just is that. You know, if you don't know that, then I don't know what to tell you. But except for study, you know, read every day, whatnot, you know. You got is much information. Do your research, right? Like, but it's provable, you know. And the more you look into it, the more you see, like, yo, we was already here. But to the point, bro, I think that is a key perspective. You know what I mean? Because with that concept of us already being free, you know, and we know, because I mean, I know that we are not those labels, but how those labels were being used, I know that they was trying to apply that to us. You know what I mean? And the fact that they're saying they were free is just that just kills the delusion, bro. You know what I mean? Because
even though they're using the label,
putting
the free on it still changes the designation.
Right, facts, and exactly, you know. But I also want to say, man, it's a documented fact. Moors are documented as being, you know, original in the region. You know what they call Lenape Hokin and all of that. Like there's literally, you know, they say Delaware is forgotten folks and all of this here, but it's a fact, you know. we are Moors, we've been here, you know, and I don't think it's nothing to be ashamed about that, you know, because people do anything like you mentioned, and we all seen we're not Moors Moor, we're Moors Muur. You know what I mean? Like just all types of weird stuff, bro. Like, you know, and I see you posted a while back about the Empress Verdiasi when she was using them interchangeably. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, all of that is, I think, a derivative of that agenda that was put into place to make it look like Moors was crazy from the so-called Indians and whatnot. You know? Yeah, that's a fact. So-called, some of them anyway. But yeah, more. Yeah. So you want to get back into the article? Or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to the editor of the New York Daily Times, with such influences upon them, with such a character, with such education, with such associations as I described in my last letter, it is not surprising that the Southerners say that the condition of the slave who is subject to some wholesome restraint and notwithstanding his improvidence is systematically provided for is preferably to that of the free black. The free black does not in general feel himself superior to the slave, and the slaves of the wealthy and aristocratic families consider themselves in a much better and more honorable position than the free blacks. I have heard their view of the matter expressed thus: dirty free niggers got nobody to take care of them.
Word, you know what I mean?
You slaves got some damn nerve. You slaves don't even know better. You're drinking water out the toilet, talking crazy to free Moors. And what kind of mental slavery is that?
Yo,
dirty free niggers,
yo, that's crazy work,
and
bro.
They went AR on them.
Facts, though. Facts. They definitely did.
They did the hard AR.
Major. Damn. Talk about a dirty Moor. He said a dirty free nigger. Like, damn. Still acknowledged you as free and still called you the N-word at the same time. Like, damn, yeah, you free, but you still, you know what I mean? Damn, that's disrespect. But the wild part is this is coming. This is coming from my own people. Like, this is not, you know what I mean? That's what I was saying. Like, you know what I mean? Even though we have the same nationality, you know, like some of it's our own people who think like that. You know? Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, they think like that too. Right?
Like Jawali said, the letters be read every meeting for these same people.
Yes. Facts.
You know, the same people.
Yeah.
Your own. Who are going to see you free. You're free. They're a slave. And you're the nigger. Or niggar. Niggar.
Crazy work.
It is for this reason that slaves of gentlemen of high character who are treated with judicious indulgence and who can rely with confidence on the permanence of their position know that they will be kindly cared for as they grow old, feeling their own incapacity to take care of themselves, do often voluntarily remain in slavery when freedom is offered to them.
Voluntarily remain. That's why the Constitution says neither slavery nor involuntary servitude shall be. You know what I mean? But they can't do nothing if somebody voluntarily wants to be a slave, bro.
Can't do anything.
It is their informed, consensual decision, bro. You cannot do nothing about it. You know what I mean? Like,
and these are lessons that we're learning real time, right? So with Moors who they get into this and then they feel obligated to let people know and tell them and put them on because they don't know and they're don't waste your time.
Word.
Because some of these people are volunteering to be ignorant. They're putting the blindfold on themselves and going out the door.
Facts.
Right? So unless they want that freedom and approach you to get the freedom, don't turn yourself gray trying to convince them to be free. Right? Let them stay in their designation, and just don't let them try to pull you in or put it on you.
Mm-hmm. That part.
We'll just back that up again.
Mm-hmm.
It is for this reason that slaves of gentlemen of high character, who are treated with judicious indulgence, and who can rely with their confidence on the permanence of their position, knowing that they will be kindly cared for as they grow old, and feeling their own incapacity to take care of themselves, do often voluntarily remain in slavery when freedom is offered to them, whether it be at the South or North or in Africa. A great many slaves that have been freed and sent to the North after remaining there for a time have of their own accord returned to Virginia, and their report of the manner in which Negroes are treated there, the difficulty of earning enough to provide themselves with the luxuries to which they have been accustomed, though unkindness of the white people to them, and the want of that thoughtless liberality in payments to them, which they expect here from their superiors, has not been such as to lead others to pine for the life of an outcast at the North. Right, so sending them going back, relaying the messages.
Yeah.
To keep them in the slavery.
Yeah.
If it's worse there, then where the hell are we going?
Yeah, to them. But this is the thing, though. Like, right? Like the thing is, they were freed, bro. They said, all right, leave. Go ahead. You are free to go, my man. And they was like, nah, we can't do this. You know what I mean? They went back. You know what I mean? They were freed and sent to the North. After remaining there in the North for a time, have of their own accord, they say, of their very own accord, returned to Virginia in their report of the manner in which Negroes are treated there, the difficulty of earning enough to provide for themselves with the luxuries to which they have been accustomed, right? So they couldn't provide for themselves and just say, yo, I'm better off on the plantation, bro. That's what was happening. That was a mind state.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like with all the opportunity or whatever, you know, I know anybody could fall on a difficult time, but they just didn't see it sustainable, I guess. I don't know. I can't justify that mind state, but it's mental. You know what I mean? It's definitely mental. And he says they have returned back, bro. That says a lot. That's like what Noble Drew Ali said about many of you know the truth and be right there and turn around.
Turn around and go right back. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like on that degree, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Among those so returning have been many of Mr. Randolph's slaves, I understand. And here let me say, as I am most happy to do, that I am convinced that the real kindness of heart and generosity of the people of Virginia makes practicality of no effect their unjust, cruel, and cowardly laws with regard to free Negroes. Unjust because they interfere with a man's quiet possession of the rewards of his own labor. Cruel because they are separate friends.
Because
they separate friends, break up families, and make men homeless, outcasts among strangers. Cowardly because they attempt to throw upon others a danger and evil which is the natural result of the peculiar constitution of their own society.
This is 1853, before the Emancipation Proclamation and all of this. Crazy.
And then now is this a different designation? The so the free Negroes, the free blacks, are the Negroes and the blacks now a different thing, or are they talking about the same people? Are they talking about the same free people?
I mean, if
No.
we put it in a time frame, is this conversation get crazy? You know what I'm saying? Because at that time, bro, like it literally, yeah, they started using the black brand on us, but it was relatively it wasn't too unheard of for European to be labeled as black, you know, and they did it under what they call the 1 drop rule, the 1/8 rule, among other things, the etymology of what the word actually means.
Mm-hmm.
But those whole artificial rules that they had, it was to justify that. You know what I mean? So if you put it in the proper, in the, you know, if you consider it from a lot of different angles, it's a very interesting dynamic. You know what I mean? Like it can mean a lot of things because it's so nondescript. And it's a fact that Europeans were also labeled and sold as quote Negroes. It's a fact, you know. They sold Irish as Negroes legally in the South and other places. You know what I mean? Like that's not just them. It was a lot of Europeans being sold as Negroes. So when you talk about black, that's why we're so specific when we say, "Yo, we're not Negro, black, or color."
Black color.
It's nondescript. You know what I mean? Like there was a time where European would be considered black legally.
Yeah.
Like we read about the Susie Guillory Phipps and all of that. That was in 1982. That wasn't that long ago, you know, like not really, you know. So, you know, and even before 1982, this was going on. It was a 4 generation old thing or something older than that, like, you know. So yeah, more we can't overlook that aspect too. Who were the free blacks? I know in this context, they were speaking about us because he mentioned something about you know, whether it be North America, South America, or Africa. But I don't know. It gets interesting. It's very interesting when we consider these topics because the truth is black is nondescript. We don't know really who they talking about.
Yeah,
You know?
it's not specific enough.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it is not, it's nondescript by the etymology and by how they used it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Facts. That's a major fact.
The spread of intelligence of all kinds among the slaves is remarkable. A planter told me that he had frequently known of his slaves going 20 miles from home and back during the night without their being missed at all from work or known at the time to be off the plantation. Another told me that he had been frequently informed by his slaves of occurrences in a town 40 miles distant when he spent part of the year with his family in advance of the mail or any means of communication that he can command the use of. Also, when in town, his servants would sometimes give him important news from the plantation several hours before a messenger dispatched by his overseer arrived. Now that's crazy that those are the slaves. And then they're not taking,
Right.
they're not embracing the freedom. Because how are they able to go 40 miles and all this?
Come on,
leaving and coming back and all that.
Exactly. But that also speaks to that underground railroad type work. You know what I mean? Like some of us had to be stationary for a reason. And more, I'll tell you, bro, like it's kind of crazy. Because remember Dave Chappelle, I'm not trying to make light of it. He said, he was like, yo, back in the day, you know, you could move 10 miles away and start a whole new life. You know what I'm saying? 10 miles away. So you talking 40, no, none of that. Instagram, none of that. Yeah, like you could disappear 10 miles away back then. You know what I mean? but to have a range of 40 miles and to be a so-called slave, that says a lot, bro, because you got to remember too, plantations were huge. Like it was a time where a whole state was considered a plantation, right?
Hmm.
So you could be riding for a long time and still be on the plantation.
Yeah.
Like when I went to Shirley's plantation, shout out to my mom and the rest of the fam. Like we went to the plantation, and bro, the dirt road was so long. It was like literally driving through an undeveloped city. Like, you know, like imagine they just cleared the land, just paved streets,
Yeah.
and just land with crops growing on it. It was just like a big city, not developed all the way. But like we was riding for a minute, bro, on the plantation, and you would think you might have been off of it if you was on foot, but they got like these little outhouses, you know what I mean, where somebody stays and watches posts. So like the whole perimeter, you know what I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
observing.
Mhm.
But I think Moors was smart enough to know to, you know, put a perimeter around their perimeter and network and get through. Because then I'm sure it was some Europeans, you know, they hit them off and they'll let you slide or something like that. You know what I mean? I don't know, bro, but it was a lot of high human trafficking going on. So everything was for sale, and it was a lot. It was just a lot going on, bro. But yeah, the
Mhm.
fact that those were allegedly to be slaves, but they knew the routes 40 miles out, like you said, that says a lot, you know. Definitely say a lot. I don't think they was some new slaves from so-called Africa, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
they got 40 miles range and still making it back the same night.
Even
Like somebody has some wheels somewhere, bro.
even that is a good one.
Yeah.
You know that if they're from over there, how
Yeah.
you tell me they figured out the terrain like that
That,
fast?
mm-hmm.
They just came here. They're in a new place and they already know. Well, I mean, they would have to have some type of knowledge, chasing north stars and all that.
Yeah.
They would have to know something. They can't be a completely dumb nigger.
No, definitely not. You know what I mean? But we were already using those sciences here as well, you know? So it's because that's the universal science, bro. Like, think about it. People argue about religion all the time, bro. I never heard somebody argue about a constellation. Like, you know what I mean? Like we all gonna disagree that there's constellations in the sky. I don't think is you know what I mean? Like it's provable. You can look up and see. Like it's nothing to debate. You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
you can believe in whatever you want. But yeah, it's a reason why that science right there, you don't hear people disputing about it. You know what I mean? Because it's undisputable. Like you can have a different point of view because it's 360 degrees. People see things different, you know. But I was reading, you know, about the Moorish Empire in Europe, and it was speaking about how Moors taught in the Cordova University, but not just that Moors taught. Like people came from everywhere. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was students enrolling from Egypt, Germany, France, China. You know what I mean? Places in Asia, North Africa, what they call North Africa today. So like how we see students come here and they might go to New York. You know what I mean? To learn at or certain prestigious universities to learn a certain industry in a certain capital of that industry. Like that was what was going on in Andalusia, which they call Spain today. But that was because Moors didn't just go in there iron fist and you know what I mean. It was a very high society and high civilization that was produced from that whole era of time.
Mhm.
So yeah, for sure. But the students that was coming there, these collective nationalities are the people who named constellations with Arabic appellations and things like that, you know, because they all had the same lesson. So you never hear them disputing about astronomy and astrology. Like they all know it's the same science. The world learned it from Moorish institutions. That is a fact, you know, or at least the applied science of it. So pardon me, more. I didn't mean to go on the rant, but
Well,
yeah,
it's all good, yo. You could rant.
yeah. Oh yeah, because we was talking about the following the North Star and whatnot. But
Yeah.
that's a universal science. Nobody could argue with it. It was being done over here. It was being done over there. You know, across the Great Atlantic. Why? Because it's a universal science. It is undeniable. It works everywhere. You know what I mean? Like it just does. You know, you got it.
From it. Yeah.
Right. You got it to where they even consider some countries based off of what their religion is. So they'll say a Muslim country, a Christian country, a Muslim nation, a Christian nation. But at the end of the day, nobody can dispute the the examples of the true and living God, bro. You know what I mean? Like nobody can dispute that the sun rises every day. That's astronomy. That's universal law, that the moon is there, you know, that it affects the tides, all of that, you know. So yeah, they play the religious controversy games by excluding what the true religion is. When we talk about looking to the heavens, we talk about seeing what's there and knowing it's a more relevant energy that manifested all of that, you know.
Right.
So right. So we're not, when we talk about looking to the heavens, it's not looking past the obvious though. You know what I mean? The sun, the moon, stars, it's there. It is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Facts.
I do not wish to be understood as intimidating or intimating that the slaves generally would not like to be freed and sent to the north, or that they're even really contented or satisfied with slavery. Only that, as having been deprived of the use of their limbs from infancy, as it were, they were not such fools as to wish how suddenly to be set upon their feet and left to shift for themselves. They prefer, if they have sufficient worldly wisdom to secure at least plain food and clothing and comfortable lodging at their owner's expense, while they will return as little for it as they can and have only the luxuries of life to work for on their own account. It is not easy to deprive them of the means of securing a good share of these. These luxuries, to be sure, may be of very degrading character, and such as, according to our ideas, they would be better without. But their tastes and habits are formed to enjoy them, and they are not likely to be content without them. But to live either on their own means or the charitable assistance of others, at the North, they must dispense with many of them. It is much as most of them, more than some of them with us, can do by their labor, to obtain the means of subsistence such as they have been used to being provided with, without a thought of their own at the South. So they were really making the condition of the slave comfy for the slave.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, at least that's how they felt. You know.
those crumbs on the table were lots.
Right.
Crumbs on the table were lots.
Yeah. That is a mentality, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that is a downtrodden. That's a bad place to be in. And you know what I mean? That's crazy. So to be like, yo, I'm gonna just hang it up and be a slave because I can't do it for myself. Like if a brother had that mentality today, like they would shame him. You know what I mean? Like today, they be like, yo, he broke, he don't do nothing, he don't get no money. You know what I mean? All these conversations, they would be looking at him with like, you know what I mean? This exact state of mind right here. They prefer, if they have sufficient worldly wisdom, to secure at least plain food and clothing in comfortable lodging at their owner's expense, while they will return as little for it as they can and have only the luxuries of life to work for, excuse me, of life to work for on their own account. So only the luxuries of life to work for on their own account. That's crazy, bro. You know what I mean? But
that's a messed up place to be in.
Yeah,
that's a messed up state.
Yes, yeah. And you know what? It reminds me of what the Queen Mother Ali Moore said before she found out that she was not a Negro. You know, she said it. She was like, I thought I was a Negro, but I realized that I'm not. You know, they gave us that. But she said something profound. The Negro is a state of mind. It's a condition, right? Being a Negro is a condition, though. You know, that's what she was saying, and it's true, bro. It's a mental state. It's a, like you say, constitutional psychopathic inferiority. Like the concept of a Negro, like, and this is no slight to people, but because we're not Negro, black, or color, we could never be those things. But as a man thinketh, so is he. So it is a state of mind. It is a condition. You know what I mean? Like it really is. And yeah, you could see it. You know what I mean? Like it is what it is. So, right, it's that is a part of that state of mind where they talking about I can't make it for myself. And don't get me wrong, it could be hard. You know what I'm saying? It may not be easy, but you know, is you gotta do what you gotta do. You know what I'm saying? Some people just be like, yo, I can't, and I'm never gonna try, and I never will. Like you gotta fight back, bro. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like you know, I see people.
There has to be some kind of fight.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, fight back against poverty. You know what I mean. Get something going. You know. God damn. Yeah, because I see it. I seen it in the parking lots. I mean, I'm talking about grown, able-bodied people. You know what I mean, of different nationalities, Europeans too. You know what I'm saying? Out there begging for change. I mean, walking up on cars, like scaring older ladies while they like coming through the parking lot asking for change. Like that was a routine of theirs. And I'm like, damn. And I'm like, yo, you know, like you're brolic, like what's up? Like, you know what I mean? I'm sure somebody would love to have you on their stock room floor or something. What's going on? You know, like why are you able-bodied out here, you know, running down on older ladies asking for money and they're scared? You're scaring them, you know what I'm saying? Like this, what's happening? And then he started talking about how he didn't have certain documentation and he's trying to get his documentation and all this here. I'm like, yo, this is crazy, bro. Like, I never seen nothing like that. And because they were young. I'm talking about couldn't be in their 30s yet. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. You got a lot of opportunities, bro. Crazy. But yeah, it's a state of mind, bro. That's it. You know what I mean? It's nothing to do with skin complexion. It's a state of mind, bro. That's a fact, you know. Constitutional psychopathic inferiority, too. State of mind, bro.
Carry on. And if they are known to indulge in practices that are habitual with them, they will not only lose the charity, but even the custom of most of their philanthropical friends. And then they must turn to pilfering again, or meet that most pitiful of all extremes, poverty from want of work. Again, suppose them to wish to indulge in their old habits of sensual pleasure, that they can only do so by forsaking the better class of even their own color, or by drawing them down to their own level. In this way, slavery, even now, day by day, is greatly responsible for the degraded and immoral condition of the free blacks of our cities, and especially of Philadelphia. It is perhaps necessary that I should explain the licentiousness and almost indiscriminate sexual connection among the young is very general and is a necessity of the system of slavery. A northern family that employs slave domestics and insists upon a life of physical chastity in its female servants is always greatly detested, and they frequently come to their owners and beg to be taken away or not hired again, though acknowledging themselves to be kindly treated in all other respects. A slave owner told me this of his own girls hired to northern people, that the character and condition of some is improved by coming to the north, it is impossible to deny. From a miserable, half barbarous, half brutal state, they have been brought to the highest civilization. From slaves, they have sometimes come to be intelligent, cultivated, free-thinking, independent-minded, and good at even great men. Frederick Douglass is a great man. If poetry, eloquence, and vigorous original thought make greatness, he is but less great than the vindictive energy with which pursues the enemy that prevents his being recognized as so, that even taboos, that even taboos him from the society of the cultivated and refined, sometimes carries him beyond the bounds of calm reason and good taste.
Yo, that's crazy, bro. That's wild. It was something that you said about, and I wanted to just recap that real quick. Because that was heavy, bro. Give me 1 second. I missed it. I gotta pull it up. Oh, yes, there it was. It was about when it says, and if they are known to indulge in practices that are habitual with them, they will not only lose the charity, but even the custom of most of their philanthropical friends. And I want to say this is fitting because this joint is called the South.
Yeah.
And this is what just happened to the Southern Poverty Law Center, bro. Lost the support of the philanthropical friends, bro.
Yeah.
Telling you, these people was already written. You know what I mean? Like they tried it, but it's because it's the same mentality from back then. You know, from then to now, and it hit me again. I was sharing the other week, like, yo, I really thought they was called Southern Poverty because they were by the Poverty Point, Louisiana, which we know is like indigenous. I thought that was the case, but come to find out, like, the headquarters is in Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama, which was the home of the Confederacy, bro.
South, yeah.
Yeah, that was the home of the South.
That's the Southern. Yeah, that's the Southern they were repping.
Yes, that's South. This is exactly who they were, man. You know what I mean? Like Confederacy with a K, bro. You know, like them people. That's who that was. That's who they are. That's why they was funding them. They was in the home of it. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But it was a lot of jewels dropped in that segment, bro, because they said coming to the highest civilization, the North. That's what they said, you know? I'm sure that there's reasons for that. You know, it's not like we're lacking in building and architecture. There's some crazy architecture buildings here, bro. You know, I mean, if we look at even how the Iroquois was running society, you can't just flat out say it's not. You know what I mean? Like you really can't. You know, there's mounds and things like that inland and whatnot in the north. So I mean, don't know. More like maybe they're right, you know? Yeah.
I mean, even with you know, this a slave owner told me this of his own girls hired to northern people.
Right. Yeah.
It was, you know, so when you even look at the, you know, you're talking about how do they accept that slave position, you know, and just stay there, you know, similar to the hooker or whatever. That this is where you're at. Like, what got you to this state of mind that this is where you're stuck at? You know, some people are stuck at, you know, they don't clean up their room or something like that.
Right.
You know? But other people are stuck in such low realms that it's, you know, is this just their karmic debt for this realm, that's what they got to deal with for this realm. You know what I mean? Did they fall into that? Did they, trip and just never, because there's some crazy stories with people ending up. I was also remembering about the Eddie Griffin with the homelessness thing, as we were talking about homeless.
Yeah, it's right in there, bro.
And this idea of that existing, because there's places where they don't have that. Like there's places where it doesn't have homelessness like how crazy it is in these lands. It doesn't have prostitution crazy as it is here.
Right. Facts. Yeah. And that's wild. So when it says, I just wanted to say again, when it says, in this way, slavery, even now, day by day, is greatly responsible for the degraded and immoral condition of the free blacks of our cities, and especially of Philadelphia. I was thinking, why they target Philadelphia like that? But you gotta remember too, even when you look at the Great Warrior Path, what they call the Great Wagon Road and all that, like it came right out to Philly, which is like the first major city of the North, like above what they call the Mason-Dixon line. So a lot of people knew, like, all right, we made it to Jersey, Philly, you know what I'm saying? We good. They was out of that jurisdiction, if you will, at that time. So maybe there was so much people who was getting, to freedom in that regard of like being in a certain type of territory that, you know what I mean? It's like, all right, we scored the touchdown. We made it to Philly, right? Like you could go to the further north or whatever, but you there. You know what I'm saying? I think that's probably why there was so many people that was coming from the South. And just was like, yo, we here, But that was definitely interesting.
Again, going back to the whole highest civilization thing, that something had to be going on up here for it even to be looked at as that's the spot. There had to be some type of activity relative to them wanting to go north, whether you're talking about the ones that's trying to escape or whether you're talking about the ones who's transferring the sex slaves. Something was going on in the north.
It's a fact.
It is the minds of such character originally that slavery is most galling to, and in which the intelligence and energy necessary to obtain freedom is most likely to reside. For this reason, the condition and character of the fugitive slaves does not give a fair indication of that of the mass, and yet it surely is not such. Take them all in all, as to make it appear that of the great body of slaves should be sent to the free states, they would be better off than they are now. I doubt if we have a reason to think their children would. In my opinion, this is the greatest reproach to slavery, but the fact remains against the hasty measures to destroy it. As to set slaves free by their masters without any previous education for it and sent to the free states, I have no doubt that they often come to great suffering. And if it should be a frequent or general practice, the result would be anything but desirable. I know of one case in which 7 were thus permitted to go to Philadelphia, of which 5 died in 3 years, 2 returned to Virginia, and only 1 remains, of whose condition I am uninformed, but I have no reason to think and do not believe it at all better in any way than when he was a slave. Being free was big work.
Exactly. It's a responsibility, bro.
Fending for yourself. We're not talking today.
Right.
You know what I mean? You could just go to the store and or you could go out and put your hand out and get something thrown in a cup.
Exactly. mean, yeah. And the same mentality translates to today, bro. Like you had some people who just will flat out reject the concept of being free in the more or free more or whatnot. They but I think, the philosophy comes from see, that's the thing. The Southern Poverty Law Center, man, they tried it, bro. They really tried it, bro. And it's funny how they exposed about it now. But that's the same mentality back then that they had today. It never changed. So we knew it when we seen it, bro. And it's just proving that is exactly what that is. That's exactly what that was. So, you got people who are in that same state of mind. They agree with them. They don't want the responsibility of being free and having to do it on your own. And when I say your own, that don't mean you don't get nation support. I mean, like, just not being dependent on the handout. You know what I mean? What's the difference of that mentality and the gentleman I was speaking about who was in the parking lot running down begging for change from older ladies, scaring them in the parking lot, bro? You know what I mean? They don't want to be approached about it, but the mentality is kind of the same. They're like, well, that's a good deal. Somebody's going to give me everything and I won't earn nothing and just keep getting whatever it is they give you. It's crazy, bro. It's crazy. Yeah, but then it leads to another conversation too, more about the homelessness, because I know that there was a statement by Noble Drew Ali in the Divine Warning where he speaks about the gold, the silver, and the commerce belonging to the citizens alone, right? And not the U.S. artificial citizenship. We're talking about a different jurisdiction, which is American citizenship. And another reason why they always try to play with people's citizenship. But it brought to mind that aspect of, if the system is rigged, that, how it is, you could make it, but you know what I mean? Like it's designed a certain way. And it's like, if you don't play that way, it's a penalty for it. Right? Like you could end up being penalized for not playing the game, in a sense. Why do I say that? Because, or paying to play, as they say. You know what I mean? That's really what it is. It's monopoly. You got to put the money up front. You know what I mean? Like that's how they have it set up. You know what I mean? What it say? Facing poverty from lack of work or want of work. Like, I mean, bro, like it's all in there. You know what I mean? Like that's all in there, bro. You know what I mean? So you gotta do something, and it is what it is. You know what I mean? But yeah, more like, it's just interesting that we see those same mentalities translate today. And you see it in different forms, same mentality, just different ways. Yeah, that's why I say it's a mind state, bro. So again, if they want to voluntarily be slaves, and the philosophy is, stay black and die, all of these things, right? You know what I mean? It's translating this from the same thing. Like, oh yeah, y'all, they gonna do this, they gonna do that, and y'all, like, all right, so what? Okay, you got Moors who are living free, really, and then those who would prefer the other way. You know what I mean? And if you prefer the other way, just say that, but don't front on us like we crazy, like they say, dirty free. You know what I mean? Like,
we don't know what's going on, but
yeah.
Like
real talk,
Yeah.
But
okay, not too much left.
Okay, you want to finish that up, or you want me to read the rest, or how we going?
I still got a little bit in me. I can do a little more.
All right, bet that. All right, cool.
As to Liberia, it is certainly true that the Negroes, either slave or free, are not generally disposed to go there. It is a distant country of which they have but very little reliable information. They do not like the idea any more than other people do of emigrating from their native country. Right? Emigrating from their native country. I thought they came from Africa on a ship or something like that.
Right, though, right? Come on.
So there's this, it's supposed to be, it's a, that they do not like the idea any more than other people do of emigrating from their native country. That's like King Alfred plan, them telling you, bound to the continent by heritage.
Facts. Exactly.
And missing it completely, thinking that, you know what type of work did they do to have you forget that you're in your land and to have you think you came from somewhere else?
Crazy.
But I really like that the best reason for their not being more anxious to go there is that they are sincerely attached in a certain way to the quote-unquote white race. At all events, they do not incline to live in communities entirely separate from the quote-unquote whites and do not long for entire independence from them. They have been so long accustomed to trusting the government of all weighty matters to the quote-unquote whites that they would not feel at home where they did not have them to take care of them. As I pointed out before, they do not feel inclined to take responsibilities on themselves and have no confidence in the talent of their race for self-government. And that's all the whoever's that are in denial. When Moore started talking, when Noble Drew Ali was talking, those that were against him then or against him today and all that, all of them are the same ones. They lack confidence. They don't want to take any responsibility for the BS that they created or got themselves into. They always want to have some boogeyman to go blame the boogeyman instead of dealing with the reality that we're supposed to govern ourselves. And our race isn't supposed to lack that talent because we're the founders of that. There's no governments if it wasn't for our people. They wouldn't even know what a government is if it wasn't for our people founding civilizations. You know, and again, they do not feel inclined to take great responsibility because they've been so passive. Drew Ali again telling Moors, you know, active, not passive. Because that passivity creates stagnancy. And nobody's drinking the dead water. There's no confidence in the talent of their race for self-government. We have the example of Noble Drew Ali and what he did in the 1920s with regard to self-government.
Facts.
Right. We have Washita, self-government. They didn't go get a lawyer and all that stuff. They did what they're supposed to do to get their stuff back. 68,000 acres. Self-government. And it's all been laid down, but our people have this take the slave approach. And we know that it's a mindset. Because if they had a free mind, they wouldn't be thinking like a slave.
Facts. Major facts. This is the mental slavery Noble Drew Ali was talking about. The mental slavery, bro.
Yep.
It's a mental condition, bro. Crazy. But the fact, yeah, like that just says so much, bro. Like the fact that he says they don't want to leave their home, immigrate from their native country more than anybody else would. That's something of that nature, what he said. Yeah, they do not like the idea of any more than anyone, other people do of immigrating from their native country. All of this is just crazy, bro. It's all there. Like we could see this same everything today, bro. And like you said, emphasize, have no confidence in the talent of their race for self-government. That's crazy, bro. Like they if the European is not attached, they don't want nothing to do
They
with it.
want nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Nothing at all, bro. That's it. That's how it is, bro. For some of them, you know what I mean?
Yeah. For some, for the ones in the slave mindset.
Mm-hmm.
A gentleman told me that he owned a very intelligent Negro who had acquired some property, and that he had more than once offered him his freedom, but he would always reply that he did not feel able to fall entirely upon his own resources and preferred to have a master. He once offered him his freedom to go to Liberia and urged him to go there. His reply was to the effect that he would have no objections if the government was in the hands of white folks, but that he had no confidence in the ability of black people to undertake the control of public affairs. To conclude,
right or wrong? Was he right or wrong? You know what I mean? I mean, it's a crazy mentality, like when you think about it. But like, you know, I don't know, man. I think that's somewhat ignorant, but you know, from his perspective, that's his mentality, yo. That's crazy.
And again, we're gonna hear them go, 40 miles and all this.
Yeah.
We're gonna hear all that, but they're trying to tell them go to Liberia.
Right. Yeah.
Pack up your one rice grain. Pack up your one rice grain and go to Liberia.
Facts.
Nah, I want to be where the Europeans are at. Forget all that.
Right. Yeah. That's how they thought, bro. Like it's right here, bro. And let you say you was a free Moor. They looking at you like you a dirty free nigger, bro. Your own people, though. Niggar. Hard they are. Real talk. Your own people back then, bro. Still today, some people, bro. So we gotta know where to classify that type of mentality when we see it. You know what I mean? Because it's a way of thinking. It's a program. I think it's a program inside a matrix, bro. You know, and some people are programmed and downloaded to think like that, man. It's crazy. Corrupted files, if you will, bro.
Yeah. For real.
Like, it's what they are, bro.
Didn't do the virus scan before they put it in.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Crazy. But yo, I saw something in here and it's so interesting. I'm glad you picked this one for tonight, bro, because I seen it in here. Sister Karima was asking me about it. I gotta find it, but I know I just scanned past it. It was just the other day. She was asking me about an article that had the word Ali in it, and I could have swore I just seen it in this article. But
no, it was all. It was all. I thought it was Ali too, but it's all. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw it.
All right, bet. Okay, maybe I was
right there. It was right there. Yeah.
Where's that at? Let me see.
Does not give a fair indication that of the mass, and yet it surely is not such to take them all in all.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All in Ali. I don't know if that means.
Yeah. I don't care what nobody say. That say Ali, bro.
Yeah. It says Ali. But
it said what it said, bro. It said what it said, bro. It's Ali, bro. Yeah. Shout out to Sister Karima. That's crazy, bro. Because she just asked me about that, and I'm like, I don't remember what you're talking about, but I do remember that. And here it go, right here, bro. That's it. It say Ali. I'm running with Ali. Said what it said, bro. You know what I mean? Yeah.
To conclude this letter, I will tell you what I think the continued existence of slavery in Virginia depends upon. First, upon the very low and degraded condition of the mass of the people. The proportion of those who cannot read and write in the state is more than 30 times as great as the Connecticut. From their want of intelligence, they are duped, frightened, excited, prejudiced, and made to betray their most direct and evident interests by the more cultivated and talented, spendthrift and unprincipled of the wealthy class. These who, without the slightest prudence or care of the future of the Commonwealth, live dependent from the means of their selfish extravagance on the slave labor of today, form public opinion by their reckless energy. Meanwhile, the truly wise and good men of the state suffer themselves to be left in the background, suffer themselves to appear in a false position, even aid by their apparent countenance of the wicked and foolish the general expression of attachment to slavery, because the question, what can be done, is too great for them, and because they really think the only remedy that is proposed would be productive of greater evil than the disease. No one speaks a word aloud of it, but not a sober, thinking man of the state is there that does not know that slavery is a curse upon him and his, and that if it were possible to remove the effect of causes that are not alone in the future or the present, Virginia would be 100 times richer, 1,000 times happier if slavery were not. P.S. Since I wrote this letter, after all that. P.S. Since I wrote this letter, I have been convinced that the sentiment I have described in the last paragraph is even deeper and more general with the mass of the people than I even imagined. I must mention an incident indicative of it. I was standing on the platform of a railway car at a station where a gang of slaves had been waiting to take our train to proceed south. But the servants' car being full, they were left behind. Two men, one of whom I afterwards learned to be a barkeeper, the other an overseer, stood with me on the platform. As we moved off, one said to the other, "That's a good lot of niggers." Good. I only wish they belonged to me. I wouldn't ask for anything else. They continued in conversation, starting with this, for some time, though I heard little of what they said. They were talking of their different occupations and grumbling that they succeeded no better. One I heard say that the highest wages he had ever had was $200 a year, and that year he did not lay up a cent. Soon after, one of them spoke with much vehemence and bitterness of tone, so I do not doubt their whole previous conversation had reference to the point. I wish to God old Virginia was free of all the niggers. It would be a damn good thing if she was. Yes, I tell you, it would be a damn good thing for us poor fellows. Well, I reckon it would myself. But mind you, these are some poor fellows. Understand the impracticability of instantly abolishing slavery and having on their hands a vast population of freed slaves, more degraded and impressible, with exciting prejudices than even themselves, as well as anybody, and would be the very first to tar and feather an abolitionist if he came to advise them to it.
Crazy, bro. Yeah. So yeah, I find that is profound, bro. Yeah. And yeah, shout out for choosing this one for tonight, bro, because that was crazy. And we see all of it now. And I want to again give my mom an acknowledgement and shout out because she broke this down. We went over it on her class months ago. But it's still hit because, bro, this is what we see, bro. This is exactly what it is. The Negro problem, bro. It's a part of it. You know what I'm saying? This is it. And everybody is not going to, yeah, you know what I mean? It's a mentality, yo. Definitely a mentality, fam. So knowing that, we just gotta understand that unfortunately, those are the things that distinguish us, bro. You know, like in certain regards. And it's not sitting here saying that we perfect and all of that. It's just saying like we all ain't got that mentality. Some of us is going to do it or, you know, transition trying to do it. You know what I mean? Like are going to work and at least try to take care of yourself, whatever that may be. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I just think that a lot of those mentalities explains why we see what we see today, you know, because it's a mentality, yo, of a lower caste system, you know, that again, as I said last night, some people are under the spell, bro, of the brands. Like whatever that box is, that is they call Negro, black, colored, etc., Indian, all of that. It's a spell, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like it is what it is, and some people are under it. But yo, knowing the truth is definitely going to break it. You know what I'm saying? So I just say, man, again, thanks again for us, you know, going in again. You know what I mean? And sharing this with the fam tonight because that's revealing too. And again, shout out to you. Shout out to Mother Karima because she literally just asked me about this article on Monday and I forgot about that part, bro. She didn't know the name of it, but we found it. That shout out to you, bro. You know what I'm saying? Crazy. So yeah. Peace, more you there?
Yeah, man.
All right. Peace. I'm
yeah, it's all the ancestors in the background, yo. You know, that's what's lining all this up. You can't. It just lines up like that because it's supposed to, you know. And we just look at it as at least we know we're connected. You know, at least we know the golden thread. The golden thread is running through all of us Moors who know what's up.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
actuals. Yeah. So I'm gonna send that to her ASAP. ASAP. Yeah. Because she just asked about it. And I probably wouldn't have looked at it again for a while until but you picked it out right now. So that's dope, bro. That's dope. Yeah. Fire. Yeah. So yeah, man, I know I mean we could go on, you know, we got a lot more to go in on.
Yeah. But I was looking at the time too.
Yeah, I know.
We were talking about earlier with the time flying with the grad and I was telling you with the sister.
Yeah,
you know, like time is really an illusion for real.
It is, bro. It really is, man. You know, and there never was a time when man was not because we created time, right? So nothing comes before the creator of a thing, right? So that's real, man. But in the regard of cycles, man, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy. Like when you literally like watch somebody grow up, it just hit different. You know what I'm saying? Like you'd be like, oh my gosh, you graduate in high school. What? You know what I mean? Like that's and you just they're close to it and it's happening, but when it get there, you just be like, damn, time really do fly. You know what I'm saying? Like
it's a real thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, next generation time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's that season is coming up. So I know we'll work something out for the next month timing. But because I have a niece graduating next month, you know what I mean? Cousin, you know. But it's just, man, it's just so interesting, bro. Like time is not like I said earlier. Now I said time is illmatic, bro. It just flies, man. And it's a beautiful thing to still be here and see it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, bro. Mm-hmm. And even speaking of time, the fact that we pulling stuff from over a century ago, 1853, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was a while ago, and that same type of mentality was around, you know? And so it just makes it all make sense for what we're looking at today or what we've seen over time as far as how these people act. Some people act, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a fact. So, yeah, I trust, you know, that's one to follow up on and study some more about because that's,
Yeah.
it was a lot said in there for sure. You know what I mean? Absolutely. But yeah, more any questions? Anybody got anything to say in the chat?
Oh yeah, we could put the link out there.
All right.
If you have any questions or if you have any comments, you could push the link and push the link. Push one.
Yeah, remember that? Yeah, hit
Push
one.
one.
Man, bro, that's a lot. We put in a lot of work, bro. That's crazy. Thinking back about it, like that's wild. It's not wild, but it's like, man, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And watching relatives grow up from back then, you know what I mean? That was born right in that era of time. He was like 7 years old back then, graduating high school now, bro. That's crazy, bro. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's dope though. But yeah,
Yeah,
more.
that's life. Life. It's proof. Proof that
Yeah,
you're here, true and living.
yeah, bro. That's a fact. You know, that's a fact. Yup.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for sure. Um, definitely want to just remind everybody. RV Bay go-to meetings are every Wednesday at 7:30. You know what I mean? Just wanted to put that out there because the conversations and the content that's shared every week is definitely there. You know what I mean? So definitely check that out if you get a chance or whatnot. But more like it's just so it's crazy, bro. It's just crazy how none of this is new, you know? All of this is like, and I get it now when Noble Dry Lee was mentioning about, I believe it was in the message to America, he was talking about ancient hatreds, right? He said something about resolving those ancient hatreds among us. And it's like, damn, you could see it. It's the same concept from back then to now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same thing. And you had Europeans and your own hating you. You know what I mean? And that's wild work, but it is what was happening, bro.
That's just what
Maybe
it was. Yes, and like the saying, history repeats itself.
yeah,
It's bound to happen. You're gonna see some stuff, and all these years later, we're seeing it playing out. And it's right, and it's obvious. It's not that it's some hidden thing. It's in your face. So for those who can't see it, that's an issue. Yeah, they have some type of problem, but we know it's the mental slavery. Which is what Drew Ali came to help us be free from. Free your mind, and the rest will follow. Oh, there's somebody there. Hold on, let me bring Islam Moore. You're live on Canaanland Moors.
Islam Moore. Peace and love, Cujo, Mez. How y'all doing? Everything well?
Islam Moore.
peace
All
more.
is well. All is well.
For sure, y'all.
You had any thoughts you wanted to share, or any comments?
Indeed, I just came off of work and I actually just jumped on. I caught y'all just in time, but I need to see that 1853 document. I wanna go over it myself as well. If y'all can email that to me, I appreciate it.
Islam Moore, no problem.
It's long, and I appreciate the good work y'all put in, man. All these years, man. Y'all never put the ball down. Y'all keep going. Y'all keep going. From the Mantis View to Canaanland Moors, I've been around for all of it. It's long.
Indeed, more. That's peace, bro. We appreciate you, bro. Yep. Facts.
Likewise.
Yep.
It's long.
Peace. Islam. Yeah, man. You know.
Islam, more.
No doubt. So yeah, man. I know time is of the essence, man. I can't wait till we get back to the next session and whatnot. But for sure, man. Like in the meantime, RV Bay Online, there'll be a lot more postings there and more to come. And yo, I just look forward to, you know, this season coming up. You know, summer is around the corner. You know, I'm definitely staying out the way this weekend of the Labor Day and all of that. I mean, Memorial Day, I'm staying out the way. You know what I mean? It's not for me. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm chilling. You know what I mean? But for sure, man, I look forward to the next session and appreciate it every time, bro. For sure.
You already know, more.
Yup.
You know how we do.
That's a fact. Yeah. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Appreciate y'all as usual. And we'll definitely be back tuned in. You know what I mean? In the meantime, I know just keep paying attention. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot going on in the world. Don't let it rock you to sleep. But always keep your eyes wide open, man, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's what, next month or the month after, they're gonna be doing a ruling about the 14th Amendment. So it's going to be telling of which way things are going. You know what I mean? But for us, we already know what time it is, regardless. You know, we have a nationality that is the remedy for all of that they may be, you know, trying to do with citizenship and all of that. Just always keep in mind, nationality is the remedy for a so-called Negro, a so-called Black, and a so-called colored, and a so-called African American, and the so-called American Indian, and all of it. Like, know your nationality for real, you know, because all of those are brains. Yeah.
Yep. Only one way.
Yeah. If it get real and they repeal the 14th Amendment and say so-called Negroes, Blacks, and colors don't have citizenship, see, because they rocking people to sleep. They don't care about the nationality. It's about artificial person, money making, doing business, right? The 14th Amendment, right? Like that's what it is, the artificial person. So yeah, you know, don't think that, I'm not saying that what they're doing at the moment is against, you know, our people in the sense of targeting them directly like that, as they say they are. But yeah, historically, just never forget it had ramifications, like with the corporate person, what people call the all caps or the chattel slavery or whatnot. You know what I mean? Like all of that bureaucratic, documented paper slavery, genocide, all of that. That is, you know, what they were doing with that. So just keep that in mind. You know, the 14th Amendment is not a new thing. It has been argued over 100 years ago, but it was intended for what it was intended for, and they never wanted many of them never wanted the misconception of being a citizen like them. They didn't want that to happen, but it's a difference. It is a difference. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't claim it, but definitely understand there is a difference between a United States citizen and an American citizen, and that is a fact. You know, that is just what it is. So again, while they playing citizenship games, we're not just saying this for nothing. We was divinely warned by Noble Drew Ali, right? And it's verifiable what he was saying about it. For these days and times right now, more, I can't stress enough how important that divine warning is, and to follow up. Yeah. And to follow up and do the knowledge on why he was talking like that about the 14th Amendment, about the 15th Amendment. Know why, you know what I mean? Don't just say he said it. Know why he said it. Study it, read it. What does it say? Why would it not be applicable? You know what I mean? Or necessary, like, you know. So Yeah, more. It's like the warnings are there, the divine warnings are there, and all of it is relevant today, and that's just amazing. So I definitely want to give acknowledgement and honors to Prophet Noble Drew Ali as well, bro, because yeah, it is important. A lot of this stuff that he was talking about back then is right now important. You know, that's a fact.
Speaking about back then, Sutton Rod sent me this when we were talking about Philly earlier.
Okay.
The energy in Philly is powerful. The Earth's ley lines converge in the back of Independence Hall at Fifth and Chestnut, where our nationality was stripped from us. Philly is the city of firsts. Many firsts happen here throughout history. It is said that whatever is planned in Philly is done with the full cooperation of the earth.
Facts. Facts. I love that. You know what I'm saying? That's a fact. Yeah. Said gotta break that down. I mean, that speak for itself, but I'm sure it's much to it. But on the note of Philly, I gotta say this because this is true. I'll never forget it, bro. I was riding with my mom through Philly, and I know like the art museum where where Rocky ran up the steps and all of that. Like on the other side of it was like a street, and we seen them like burying an archway at the foundation of it. Like on the other side of the building, there was an archway that goes into the building, but they were covering it with dirt, bro. We seen it. You know what I mean? Like, yo, that's crazy. Why they doing that? But yeah, yo, Philly is definitely a magical place, and like you said, the city at first. So that's dope. Because again, you could just look at the fact that it was the capital before DC. You know what I mean? Above the so-called Mason and Dixon line. So that's a lot with that. You know what I mean? That's a fact. Yeah. That's a fact.
Yeah. Give thanks, brother Miz. Honors to you.
Likewise, bro. Likewise. I trust everybody be well. Thank y'all all for tapping in and tuning in. Shet, definitely good to hear from you. Cujo again, thank you. And everybody in the chat, y'all. One love. Peace, y'all.
Honors to all the Moors in the chat. Happy Holy Day. Honors to all.
Yeah. Peace.
Peace, Moors.
So I just want to get you in. What? I'm rocking. Who says we ain't in the building? Who says we ain't into building? We the Moorish master masons, architects for your children, repping Friday 13th like Jason without the killing. But we promote life, it's all about the feeling. And we invoke light, we them light beings. Though you might see him on the block getting his portion, might be talking to cops, giving them caution. Occasionally wearing his fez when he's walking, see the turning heads, whispering, gawking. But he's locked in and he's zoned out while we boxed in our own house.
We study the mystics, the adepts, the magi, wisdom of the ancients can uncalcify us. Possible mission, free mental numbness, extract the substance, rid minds of dumbness. Use the source, don't care what some purport, as we know by being told man knows not. Many before the floor, souls got bought, placed in the devil's hands, ruling the seven lands. To dogma rituals, Negro spirituals, brainwash subliminal, keeps thinking to a minimal. They're still criminal, in a world digital so pitiful. Mental survival so critical, it's visible. Can you see past righteous blocks? Hashtag zombies with waves of cyber thoughts. No need for cell phones, they speak through saw palms. It's nothing for alarm, chips and forearms.
Wind, brass, and bass, such a beautiful serenade. Women feeding me grapes, I'm feeding the enemy's serenades. Whether the sky is clear or gray, rain when you hear a fake, giving life to seed. Speaking through who not here today. Show you the future in a glimpse. You can always look to these holes like hallucinatory pimps. Sun walked the desert, been marvelous since I found God. Look back, used to see his prince. Forget being a prince, I'm a G. OG OD, grown man, no Jody, deny it, you don't know me. Don't make me tap into the old me. That's like a couple hundred years. Walk around town with a couple hundred peers and release the peace of her fears. The sun gon' shine, so what tears? This young brother here just trying to get his third eye clear.
This deep. Moors don't sleep, invest in your mind and body and unleash real life rap, spitting over tracks, conscious thinking and living and then attack. This deep. Moors don't sleep, invest in your mind and body and unleash real life rap, spitting over tracks, conscious thinking and living and then attack.
So as the moon sets, the sun takes its place and spoons on blocks, inspired spots, filled spaces, peel back, rats, who got cases, fire stain the corridors of flemmo faces, game changers, rule benders and no pretenders, style lenders, channel my vibe through the vibrant optic lenses, send a message to our veterans, soldiers up and get it in, we on our verge, we are merged subliminal beings, third eye seeing, still a participant unwilling.
They wanna break me, shake, bake, grade me, rolling with my main G, double OMG, SON is crazy. For a minute that you think you could take me for a fool like a native to his land, being schooled by a foreign dude. You've mistaken me, spiders on the roof, in the dark rooms, I've been saying you've mistaken me. You better move or I mark it, power pin is my tongue, your existence to target, revealing all lies and deceit on the market. Genocide carried out in pockets, I knock it down, bulldozer. David to Goliath, it's an exposure. Some big cats ruling and it's getting closer to your downfall. Round up all your soldiers.
Little homie, I was seeking a fortune, tired of misfortune. I just wanted a portion, everything that I never had, though I needed my portion. Blowing like porcelain, haters cracking as porcelain. Getting broke, tired of being broke. How we acquire hope is a DJ skill as a dope, just to keep us afloat. Mind as deep as the boat, brain is a lethal weapon. We want it to elope. When I speak, I provoke. Walk in the room with my aura feeling like heavy smoke. Feel like when the levee broke under my Louis Vuitton, the semi-poke. Cause dirty cops are kicking, boy, you ain't a joke. The cost of living, higher profits in private prison. These little girls are sunny bodies just to pay tuition. These little niggas sunny niggas just for bail condition. It's like the slavery never ended with an intermission. I wanna free the world, but I'm one man. A couple ones like me and make one plan. I wanna free the world, but I'm one man. A couple ones like me and one plan.